And I ended up going to Mar-a-Lago with Amaryllis, my daughter-in-law, who runs my campaign. And we sat down with Don Jr. and with President Trump and Susie Wiles' campaign manager for several hours and talked through these issues. And we agreed to do a unity campaign where we would, like they have in Europe, where there are, there's coalitions where you don't give up your own independence or your capacity to criticize your allies on things with which you don't agree with them. And he was very agreeable to that, and on the issues that we don't agree on, that I would continue to criticize him and he could criticize me without penalty, and to our alliance, and that the issues that we did agree on, he agreed to make them priorities and to involve me in some way in helping to choose the new government and helping to give emphasis to the policies that I was concerned about. And the three policies were children's health and the chronic disease epidemic, and which involves the food system and getting the corruption out of the public health agencies and out of USDA. Second, to ending the censorship and surveillance, and number three, ending the warfare state, ending the Ukraine war immediately. And all of those are issues that he,
those are big issues,
had come to on his own, and that I think he appreciated my insights on some of those issues and my passion for some of those issues and my knowledge about some of those issues and expertise. And he welcomed me, my involvement. I mean, one of the things you asked me about what I sort of had come to discover about President Trump, and he said to me a number of things that were very illuminating. One is that he and Donald Jr. And J.D. Vance were absolutely had extraordinary antipathy toward what the neocons have done to our country. I was surprised about that, how knowledgeable they were and how passionate. And J.D. Vance is a soldier, and his understanding of the neocons comes out of his own, service abroad and his own military service. And then Donald Trump Jr., I don't know exactly how he came to his antagonism toward them, but it's very, very heartfelt. That gave me a lot of confidence as well, that he's surrounded by people who are close to him, that are in his family, and that are going to be involved in his administration, who agreed with me. And we talked at that time about, in fact, it was an issue that I brought up about bringing Tulsi onto the team, and they were very, very welcoming of that idea. And that, of course,
another one who had tremendous trouble with the Democrats.
Not only, and she was the deputy director of the Democratic National Committee, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So she was a core, Democrat, and a Democratic presidential candidate, Democrat congresswoman.
A formidable figure.
Yeah, and very, very formidable. And somebody that I like personally a lot and have had a long and very, very friendly relationship with. And then, but he also said something to me. He said, last time that I was in 2016, he said, we got elected, and he said, we didn't really expect that was going to happen. And,
right. Obviously.
And I was not prepared for it.
Yeah.
And he said, we launched the transition committee in January. And I was immediately surrounded by, business people and lobbyists and saying, you pick this guy, pick that guy, pick that guy. And he said, and I did it. I did what they said. He said, I later came to regret it. And a lot of those people were bad people. Like, you know, how he talks about that. He said they were bad people. And he said, I don't want to do that this time. I want to do something completely different. And he said, we're going to launch a transition committee starting this week.
In today's chaotic world, many of us are searching for a way to aim higher and find spiritual peace. But here's the thing. Prayer, the most common tool we have, isn't just about saying whatever comes to mind. It's a skill that needs to be developed. That's where Hallow comes in. As the #1 prayer and meditation app, Hallow is launching an exceptional new series called How to Pray. Imagine learning how to use Scripture as a launchpad for profound conversations with God, how to properly enter into imaginative prayer, and how to incorporate prayers reaching far back in church history. This isn't your average guided meditation. It's a comprehensive 2-week journey into the heart of prayer, led by some of the most respected spiritual leaders of our time. From guests including Bishop Robert Barron, Father Mike Schmitz, and Jonathan Rumi, known for his role as Jesus in the hit series The Chosen, you'll discover prayer techniques that have stood the test of time, while equipping yourself with the tools needed to face life's challenges with renewed strength. Ready to revolutionize your prayer life? You can check out the new series as well as an extensive catalog of guided prayers when you download the Hallow app. Just go to hallow.com/Jordan and download the Hallow app today for an exclusive 3-month trial. That's hallow.com/Jordan. Elevate your prayer life today.
So normally the transition committee is paid for by the GAO, by the General Accounting Office, and you don't launch till after the election. But with him, he got private donors to pay for the transition committee, and he's starting it 4 or 5 months early, so that they can actually put a government in place. And then another thing he said is, you know, one of the big complaints against President Trump has been that he's sort of a captive of the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025. And he said to me, you know, Project 2025, they keep trying to stick that to me. And I've never read it. I never heard it. I heard of it until people started telling me that I was behind it. And he said, that was written by a right-wing asshole. This is what he said to me. And he said, there are left-wing assholes and there are right-wing assholes. And that was written by a right-wing asshole. And so in that way, you know, he kind of, you know, disavowed this kind of ideological pigeonhole that they're trying to put him in. And I think his administration is going to be really interesting because, like you said, he's surrounded by people who are entrepreneurial, who really are common sense people who want to do the right thing for our country. And, you know, I also came to understand President Trump in a different light. And it's easy for me to understand because I've been vilified and demonized by the press and the view of me, you know, across the kind of the liberal landscapes is that, you know, I'm this really insane, crazy person. And you know, but a lot of people, I you know, take that as gospel, as reality. And, you know, I think a lot of the things that have been said about President Trump are the same thing. They're things that are propaganda tropes. They're very simplistic characterizations of him that miss some of the richness of his character and of his personality.
Yeah, well, that seems to be especially the case now that he has this quite remarkable team around him. So let me steelman the Democrats for a second and tell me what you think of this. I have a number of Democrat contacts, and they've been making a case to me that things have genuinely shifted since Harris took the reins, and they point to such things as relatively less emphasis being placed, for example, at the DNC on the climate crisis and carbon dioxide, a relative shelving or siloing of the more radical leftist movement within the Democrats, which, in my experience, they've declined to even admit that exists, which has been a kind of blindness that to me is nothing short of miraculous. Is it possible that there is a shift towards the center in the Democrat Party? And have we seen that since Harris took the reins? And do you have any hope in that regard? Or was your experience your personal experience with their machinations and the problems that you detailed out so comprehensive that you think that what was that? Is too little too late or not real at all, I guess?